nobody's moving to these 10 states anymore. And no, it's not because everyone suddenly discovered teleportation. People are leaving faster than you can say, "Where did my neighbor go?" Jobs vanish, schools close, and entire towns start looking like the set of a post-apocalyptic movie. Except nobody's paid for the CGI. Some states are booming, sure, but others are quietly shrinking, like your leftover pizza in the fridge that nobody wants. Retirees are gone, young families are gone, and even that cousin who swore he'd never move out of mom's basement? Yep, he's probably packing. If you're thinking of moving somewhere new, this isn't just a list, it's a cautionary tale. You don't want to end up in a place where the only activity is watching tumbleweeds pass by, or where your neighbors become a disappearing act worthy of a magic show. And let's not ignore the economy. These states are losing residents because the jobs aren't following. Companies close, paychecks vanish, and local diners replace waitstaff with "good luck" signs. If you think your future includes stability, you might want to cross some of these states off your list before you start unpacking. So sit back, grab a snack, and maybe check your moving budget, because today we're counting down the 10 states that have officially made leaving a national pastime. And before we jump in number 10, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, watching this could save you from accidentally moving somewhere your GPS would refuse to recalculate. Number 10, Hawaii. Hawaii. The postcards make it look like paradise. Beaches so perfect they look photoshopped, sunsets that could cure depression, and palm trees swaying like they're getting paid to be in a music video. But here's the real plot twist. People aren't staying. In fact, more locals leave Hawaii every year than almost anywhere else in the country. Let's start with the cost of living, because Hawaii isn't just expensive, it's how is this legal? Expensive. The average price of a single-family home can easily sit above $900,000, and that's not even beachfront. That's you're 40 minutes inland with no AC, and your neighbor's rooster will wake you up every morning at 5:12 a.m. pricing. Even basic groceries feel like luxury purchases. A dozen eggs out here might cost the same as a small Netflix subscription. Locals joke that in Hawaii, you don't check your bank account. You just pray over it. Then there's the job market. Most of the employment is tourism-related, which means the economy depends on whether people feel like vacationing that year. When tourism slows down, paychecks do too. And many of the jobs available don't match the cost of simply living life. Imagine making $16 an hour and your rent alone is $2,300 for a studio apartment with a window that looks directly into someone else's window. That's the Hawaii experience. Another big reason people leave is something tourists don't see, but locals live daily: imported everything. Because Hawaii is isolated in the middle of the Pacific, nearly every product, food, fuel, building materials, is shipped in. And when shipping costs go up, Hawaii residents feel it first and hardest. Want to start a family? Cool. Just be ready to pay mainland prices times 1.5 if you're lucky. But here's the part that really hits home: the cultural displacement. Native Hawaiians and longtime local families are getting priced out of the islands their ancestors lived on for centuries. College graduates leave because they want careers that actually pay what they're worth. Younger families leave because they want to own a home before age 65. And retirees leave because fixed income plus Hawaiian cost of living equals financial stress yoga, the kind where your bank account stretches thinner than your patience. So why are people leaving? Simple. Hawaii is paradise, but paradise has bills. And those bills are disrespectful. Hawaii will always be one of the most beautiful places on earth. But for many who grew up there, it's becoming a place they love deeply, but can't afford to stay in. Number 9, West Virginia. West Virginia, a state filled with mountains, rivers, and some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. It's the kind of place that looks like a nature documentary waiting to happen. Eagles in the sky, forests stretching forever, rivers carving through valleys. But behind all that beauty, people are packing up and leaving. And not just a few. West Virginia has been losing population for over a decade. So what's going on? First, the economy. West Virginia was built on coal. Coal was the job, the culture, and the identity. But as the coal industry declined, automation, renewable energy, environmental regulations, the job market didn't exactly replace it with shiny new options. It's kind of like when the family breadwinner quits and nobody else in the house picks up extra hours. The state didn't transition smoothly. Instead, it got stuck. Now, a lot of towns feel like the economy is just paused. You'll see abandoned storefronts downtown, quiet main streets, and more for sale signs than active businesses. Younger people look around and realize the best opportunities involve either leaving or hitting the Powerball. And unfortunately, most people aren't hitting the Powerball. Then there's the opioid crisis. And West Virginia has been hit harder than almost anywhere else in America. Some towns here have some of the highest overdose rates in the entire country. It's not a joke, not an exaggeration. It's a real, painful problem. Families broken, communities struggling, and hospitals overwhelmed. When that becomes the day-to-day reality, it's easy to see why people start looking for somewhere with a fresh start. Cost of living here is actually cheap, extremely cheap. You could buy a house in some areas for less than the price of an iPhone. Sounds like a deal, right? But there's a catch. Cheap living doesn't help much if there are no jobs, no growth, and no stability. Low cost of living stops being a benefit when it starts feeling like a warning sign. Education and infrastructure also play a role. Schools struggle to stay funded, roads are rough enough to test your suspension system, and internet access in rural areas can feel like you're connecting through a potato. When remote work became the new normal, West Virginia could have benefited, but only if strong internet existed everywhere. And it didn't. But here's the truth people don't say enough. West Virginians are strong. They're proud, loyal, community-driven, and tougher than steel beams. Most people aren't leaving because they want to. They're leaving because they need to chase opportunity, education, or stability that just isn't available in many parts of the state right now. So, why are people leaving West Virginia? Because it's beautiful. But beauty needs jobs. It needs resources. It needs a future pathway. Right now, too many people don't see one. Number 8, Illinois. Illinois, a state that has everything. Major cities, farmland, sports culture, deep dish pizza thick enough to use as building material. And yet, people are leaving faster than your cousin leaves group chats after being asked to pay his share of the bill. And the center of the story, though not the whole story, is Chicago. Because let's be honest, Chicago is like the older sibling that takes up all the attention, money, headlines, and drama. But here's the real reason people are leaving Illinois. Cost. Taxes. Cost. Taxes. And then, even more taxes. Illinois has some of the highest property taxes in the entire country. You can own a house here and still feel like you're renting from the government. It's like Illinois is that friend who always says, "Don't worry, I got you." And then Venmo requests you 3 days later plus tip. And the state budget issues? Oh, they've been messy for years. Pension debt is so high that even accountants squint when they try to explain it. It's like Illinois tried to buy a car using a credit card, maxed it out, and then applied for another credit card to pay the first credit card. Financial Jenga, and the tower is wobbling. Now let's talk crime, because yes, it's a factor. Some areas in Chicago deal with crime rates that are no joke. But here's the twist. People outside Illinois think it's just Chicago, but some smaller cities are struggling too. Rockford, Peoria, Decatur, Springfield, a lot of them have seen unemployment spikes, rising crime, and shrinking populations. It's like the struggles spread out from the big city into the smaller towns, along with everyone trying to figure out how to make life work. Then you have the job market shift. Manufacturing used to be huge, providing stable, decent-paying jobs. But factories closed, automation increased, and companies moved operations elsewhere. So now, thousands of people are left trying to reinvent careers in places where opportunities are limited. Add in the harsh winters. And yes, Illinois winters hit different. The kind where the wind doesn't just blow, it attacks you. You go outside, and suddenly you're questioning your life choices. The wind in Chicago will slap you so hard your ancestors feel it. So when you combine high taxes, uncertain financial future, crime concerns, declining job opportunities, whether that feels personal, you get a state where a lot of people say, "I love it here, but I can't stay here." And honestly, that's the hardest part. Illinois isn't being abandoned because people hate it. It's being left because people can't afford to hold on to the version of Illinois they love. Number 7, Alaska. Alaska is one of the most beautiful places in America. Mountains, glaciers, wildlife, northern lights, clean air, so fresh it makes bottled water feel insecure. It's nature on maximum settings. But here's the part the travel brochures whisper quietly in fine print. Living in Alaska is a completely different game. First, the cost of living is shockingly high. Things that cost $3 in the lower 48 cost $9 here, if the store even has it. Milk, eggs, bread, everyday items are shipped in, which means you're basically paying imported luxury product prices for cereal. Buying groceries in Alaska feels less like shopping and more like participating in a charity fundraiser you didn't sign up for. Then you have the weather. And not just cold, Alaska cold. The type of cold that doesn't just freeze your fingers, it freezes your thoughts. The kind where you step outside and your eyelashes start forming ice crystals like nature is trying to decorate your face. And depending on where you live, you're either experiencing almost no sunlight or sunlight all day, both of which can make your brain start asking deep existential questions like, is this real life? Next, jobs. Alaska's economy depends heavily on oil and resource extraction. So when those industries slow down, the entire state feels it. And don't forget, many communities are extremely spread out. It's not like you can just drive 15 minutes to the next town for work. Sometimes the next town is a 6-hour plane ride and a snowmobile trail away. Also, healthcare access is rough. If you get sick in certain areas, the nearest hospital could be hundreds of miles away. You're not calling an ambulance. You're calling a helicopter. That's not healthcare. That's a side quest. And finally, isolation. For some people, Alaska is peaceful, quiet, therapeutic. For others, it's lonely. Winter can feel like you're living inside a screensaver for 4 months straight. So why are people leaving? Extremely high cost of living. Stressful weather conditions. Limited job opportunities outside of specific fields. Isolation that hits hard in winter. Alaska is stunning to visit, but living there can feel like survival mode on a daily basis. Number 6, Connecticut. Connecticut is like that person who looks wealthy, sounds successful, and acts classy, but then hands you a bill so shocking you start reconsidering your entire existence. On the surface, Connecticut is beautiful. Nice suburbs, solid schools, the kind of neighborhoods where everyone jogs with a golden retriever. But here's the truth. People are leaving because Connecticut is expensive in ways that almost feel personal. Taxes here are legendary. Property taxes, income taxes, fees for things you didn't even know could be taxed. Connecticut will charge you for breathing near the coastline. It's like the state is constantly fundraising from its own residents. Then there's the cost of housing. Want a modest home? Sure. Just go ahead and sign away your next 30 years. Mortgage plus taxes here can feel like paying for 3 houses, except you only get to live in one. And despite paying all this money, the job market isn't as strong as it used to be. Connecticut used to be packed with insurance companies, financial firms, corporate headquarters, high-salary jobs. But over the years, many left for states with lower taxes and cheaper business costs. So now people are stuck paying premium prices in a state that isn't offering premium income anymore. Then we have the vibes problem. Some towns are lovely, absolutely. But others feel like time stopped in 1997 and the economy forgot to restart. Quiet is peaceful, but Connecticut sometimes hits empty quiet. And we can't ignore the weather. Long winters, short summers, and a type of cold that'll have you Googling Arizona apartments for rent in February at 2:37 a.m. So why are people leaving? High taxes that just keep increasing. Cost of living that feels unreasonable. Decline in high-paying job opportunities. Weather that wears you down. A general feeling of paying too much for too little. Connecticut is picturesque, but it's also financially exhausting. We're officially halfway through the countdown. If you've made it this far, you're clearly serious about avoiding the wrong moving decisions. So do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss one of these important breakdowns. Be honest, could you live somewhere with cheap rent, no traffic, and 0 Uber drivers? Drop a yes or no I need civilization in the comments. I'm curious. All right, let's get back into it with number 5. Number 5, Mississippi. All right, Mississippi. A place where the sweet tea is strong, the catfish is fried correctly, and the humidity will slap you in the face like you just insulted its mama. But behind all that southern charm, people are packing up and heading out, and they're not exactly being subtle about it. Mississippi has been losing population for over a decade, and it's not just a minor dip. We're talking one of the highest outmigration rates in the entire country. And the reasons? Well, grab a seat. First, the economy. Mississippi consistently ranks at or near the bottom in median household income, around $49,000 a year, which is the lowest in the U.S. That means a lot of folks are working hard, but the paycheck is giving try again next month energy. Jobs are there, but they're often lower paid, and younger people especially are leaving to chase bigger opportunities in places where the Wi-Fi doesn't threaten to retire mid-download. Then we have education. And look, we're not making fun, we're just reporting facts like a polite journalist. Mississippi is often ranked 50th in education outcomes. That number is so constant, it's practically part of the state flag. So families, especially young ones, are thinking about where to raise their kids, and they're choosing places where the school textbooks don't still mention MySpace as the future of social media. Crime also plays a role. Cities like Jackson have had some of the highest homicide rates per capita in the nation in recent years. And when the water crisis hit, yes, the capital city having weeks without clean drinking water, many residents decided that was the final boss level they didn't sign up for. And speaking of Jackson, infrastructure is a whole separate situation. Roads need work, water treatment needs upgrades, and some towns look like they've been frozen in time since Blockbuster was still alive. Charming? Yes. Sustainable? Not so much. But here's the thing. Mississippi has soul. Music, culture, food, it's heavy. Blues, gospel, the deep storytelling roots. This state helped shape America's identity. And a lot of the people leaving aren't doing it because they're doing it because life is just hitting too hard. So why are people leaving Mississippi? Lower wages, weaker job opportunities, struggling schools, and infrastructure challenges. But what's left behind is a state full of history, flavor, and pride, just one that desperately needs investment. And I mean real investment. Not, let's build another gas station investment. We have enough gas stations. We're good. Number 4, Louisiana. Louisiana. The state that gives you jazz, gumbo, and the occasional existential crisis in equal measure. But here's the thing. While tourists flock to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, crawfish boils, and overpriced beignets, the locals are quietly packing up and leaving. Why? Well, let's break it down. The crime rate here isn't just high. It's creatively high. Violent crimes in Louisiana, especially in urban areas like New Orleans and Baton Rouge, hover around double the national average. That's right, the kind of numbers that make you think twice about taking an evening stroll. Meanwhile, the cost of living can be surprisingly steep, especially when you factor in flood insurance, hurricane preparedness, and the occasional property damage from Mother Nature's mood swings. Speaking of nature, let's talk weather. Louisiana is basically a humidity simulator. If you enjoy sweating the second you step outside, you're in paradise. Otherwise, you'll likely find yourself longing for dry air in normal seasons, which, spoiler alert, do not exist here. The economy isn't helping either. Job growth is sluggish in many parts. Wages lag behind national averages, and opportunities outside of tourism or oil industries can feel like searching for a needle in a swamp. And yes, the swamps are beautiful, until you realize they're full of mosquitoes the size of small drones. Living here is like being in a perpetual Louisiana-themed roller coaster. Fun for a weekend, stressful for a lifetime. People leave not because they hate it, but because surviving it full-time is basically a full-time job in itself. And yet, somehow, the state manages to charm new arrivals, until they check their bank accounts, commute times, and local news. Number 3. North Dakota. North Dakota, the land of wide-open skies, endless cornfields, and the sound of absolute silence. Yes, if you like peace and quiet, congratulations, you found heaven. But if you're a human who enjoys coffee shops that don't close at 6 p.m., restaurants that actually have more than two options, or neighbors who occasionally exist, you might want to think twice. People aren't exactly rushing here. In fact, population growth has slowed, and some towns are shrinking because, well, life out here feels like a permanent game of hide and seek, and everyone's hiding. The economy isn't terrible. Agriculture and oil keep things afloat, but jobs outside those industries are scarce. You might graduate college and find yourself negotiating your resume with a tractor salesman. And don't even get me started on the weather. Winters are long, brutal, and full of wind that somehow gets into every corner of your home. Summer? Oh, that's just short enough to remind you it exists before the snow returns. Crime rates are relatively low, but boredom can drive a person to do things they wouldn't normally admit on camera. And social life? Well, if the local bar on Friday night counts as a hotspot, you're in luck. Just make sure you like seeing the same 5 faces each week. And transportation is a challenge. Distances between towns can feel like crossing continents. Running errands? Better budget a full day just to get milk and eggs. Even Google Maps occasionally looks at North Dakota and asks, "Are you sure about this?" So why do people leave? Affordability is good, yes, but the isolation, harsh climate, and limited entertainment options push many to states with more opportunities, milder weather, and people who don't drive like they're auditioning for a Mad Max sequel. North Dakota is beautiful if you love nature, but for the average human craving convenience, it's a test of endurance, patience, and wardrobe quality. Thermal socks are non-negotiable. Number 2, New Jersey. New Jersey. The Garden State, which is ironic because sometimes it feels like the garden is overrun by potholes, traffic jams, and questionable smells. People flock here for the proximity to New York City or Philadelphia. But after a few months of navigating endless highways and paying taxes that feel like personal fines for existing, the exodus begins. Let's talk numbers. New Jersey's population has been slowly declining in some counties, partly due to high property taxes, the highest in the nation for homeowners. Add sky-high rent and cost of living, and suddenly living next to the beach or a train station doesn't seem worth it when your wallet is crying in the corner. Crime isn't uniform, but some urban areas see rates that make your GPS hesitate before suggesting a shortcut. Traffic deserves its own horror story. The Turnpike, Garden State Parkway, or even local roads. Pick your poison. Commuting can turn what should be a 20-minute drive into a philosophical journey, questioning your life choices. Meanwhile, parking is a sport, and getting a decent spot can feel like winning the lottery. And don't forget the weather. Winters are cold, summers are humid. And if you thought tornadoes were rare, New Jersey occasionally reminds you they exist. Flooding in low-lying areas is a fun bonus if you enjoy your basement turning into a personal swimming pool. Economically, New Jersey has strong industries, but for everyday folks, job opportunities often feel like playing musical chairs. And yes, the chair you want is always taken. People leave for affordability, sanity, and a chance to breathe without a cloud of exhaust constantly overhead. Life here can be exciting in small doses. Long-term, many realize that New Jersey's charm comes with a fine print. Traffic, taxes, and a persistent thought that maybe, just maybe, another state might appreciate your hard-earned paycheck more. Number 1, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. The tropical paradise where your Instagram photos scream vacation goals, but your utility bills scream financial nightmares. Once you land here, you're greeted by turquoise waters, warm breezes, and power outages that make you question your life choices. Yes, the island has charm, history, and culture that could fill a library, but it also has infrastructure that feels like it's held together with duct tape, prayer, and sheer willpower. The population has been steadily declining, and for good reason. Hurricanes, economic instability, and a public debt crisis that makes the national debt look like pocket change have forced tens of thousands to pack their bags for the mainland. Job opportunities? Limited. Cost of living? Higher than most might expect. And let's not even start on healthcare. If your idea of fun is waiting in line for hours just to see a doctor, congratulations, you're living the dream. Crime rates fluctuate depending on where you go, but even the locals will admit that some neighborhoods are best approached with caution or binoculars from your car. Roads are narrow, traffic is chaotic, and GPS sometimes just throws its hands up and says, "Good luck, amigo." And then there's the bureaucracy. Moving here is like entering a labyrinth of paperwork where every corner has a line, every line has a fee, and every fee has someone staring at you like you personally caused the government to exist. Utilities, banking, taxes, it all adds up to one question. Why did I leave my mainland comfort zone again? Yet, despite all this, Puerto Rico is magical. Sunsets that melt your heart, beaches that make you forget the rest of the world, and food that will haunt your taste buds forever. But living here full-time? That's a trial by fire, tropical storms, and paperwork. It's paradise, yes, but paradise with a side of, maybe reconsider that relocation plan. Hold up. You enjoyed the video, didn't you? Don't lie. If you did, you officially owe the Urban Lens a subscribe. It's the law now. Go ahead, click that icon on your screen right now before I call out your hometown next week. Don't test me. I will find it. And if you already subscribed, you're safe. You're family now. I'm the Urban Lens. Thanks for watching. And remember, if your town didn't make this list, just wait. It probably will.